It's yours, my friend.
Let's see
Fantastic.
if I got my audio working.
Fantastic.
All right, yes. Good to be here. And nice part is that we're actually streaming this so we can get a lot of people to watch on the internet. And you can also share this that way because you'll be able to send these links out to other people. Because this is really it's a deep message on a few issues, but it's going to be fun. I'll keep it on the fun side. I've done cooking shows in every single state in the country now, including Alaska and Hawaii. We've never charged anybody. We don't charge people attending. We don't charge churches just by donations. God's provided every step of the way. In fact, earlier this year, we went to Africa. We had half a dozen events over in Botswana, and so that was pretty amazing over there, right before the COVID set in. And so I really get an idea of how nutty this world is, and it is getting nuttier by the day, especially with COVID. And in fact, up in Michigan, they've got this coin shortage. Have you all had that down here? Where they're short on coin, exact change, or use your credit card and stuff? Yeah, well, I think the only thing we're short on is common sense. I think that's the thing that we're missing in society right now. But yeah, this world is getting nuttier and nuttier by the day. In fact, whoever came up with this phrase, never trust a skinny chef. I mean, really, shouldn't it be never trust a fat chef? I don't know where they get these phrases from, but now I couldn't have said that 70 pounds. I've already lost 70 pounds going on a vegan, vegetarian, plant-strong lifestyle. But I do want to point something out, okay? Excess weight comes from excess sugars, excess fats, excess calories. Okay, that's where you're going to get the excess weight. What I'll talk today about is a lot of the excess cholesterol and saturated fats, because that's where you're getting the clogged arteries, the blocked cells, and the killer diseases, including COVID-19. So, there is a big difference between the two. And you don't want to judge people because they're overweight by some world standard, thinking they're unhealthy. It's not always the case. In fact, there's a lot of people that are overweight who are perfectly healthy. In fact, there's a lot of people that are overweight who are actually way healthier than the slender people whose arteries are all clogged up with the cholesterol and the fats. But our brains are indoctrinated by this nutty society to automatically judge people by what they look like on the outside rather than who and what they are and what's going on the inside. Now, of course, if you want to lose a quick 20 pounds, you want to lose a quick 25 pounds, just wear black. I mean, I do things the easy way. But anyway, today we're going to talk about strengthening the immune system. This is probably the most critical thing and time to have to do this right now. But I want to give you a real quick COVID safety minute because a lot of people just need this. I do this at every single event. There's hand sanitizers everywhere, and we've got a sanitizer station. Now, in the recipe flyer, I do have 3 recipes for homemade hand sanitizer. Because when these pandemics hit, all of a sudden the stuff gets wiped out at the grocery store and you don't have any. Well, you can make your own. So that's a good way to go. And now this is according to the CDC. Right here, there are 2 ways to transmit an infection. This is according to the CDC. Most everything I do is quoted with sources. And number 1, respiratory droplets are produced when somebody sneezes and it's inhaled by the lungs of somebody else. So that's number 1. And then number 2, by touching a virus-contaminated surface and using your hands to touch your eyes or mouth. And I'll try to get to that second one if we got time, but the main issue is the sneezing and coughing. So if you're going to cough, who invented coughing in your hand? It's like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. It's just not a very good thing to do. And this isn't much better because you still got, you're still kind of right there and sneezing upward. Don't try to sneeze over 2 rows at the grocery store, okay? Now, I learned how to sneeze properly, both by the health departments and years of being in culinary. What you would do is you put your hands behind your back and you actually sneeze right on the floor or you cough on the floor and then everything just goes straight down and boom, and it just settles right down. And especially for restaurant workers, because you're in there working There's no place else to sneeze or cough, except you got to sneeze right down, and then they go right back to work. So that's the best thing to do, is just sneeze downward. But the main thing is that this is the only reason why people are encouraged to wear masks, is because people don't know how to sneeze and cough properly in public. So that's a big issue. Now, with the increasing cases of COVID, there's a few reasons for that. More testing is one. There's a few parallel things going on. But the death rate is dropping. So this is a really good thing. And mostly because the COVID is weakening, which is great. The herd immunity is strengthening, because there's probably half the people in this room have already had COVID and don't even know it. And you've already been through it, and you're already immune to it. So herd immunity has been strengthening. And then the medical experts are actually better able to treat COVID. So for those three reasons, we're having less death rate. In fact, right here's the death rate charts. This is a fresh one here too. The highest week was in April, which was, I'll go with this big one here, 17,000. And the lowest was actually 3,800. And what's happening right now is that the lowest, we're down here in October, 1,800 deaths right there for October 3rd. 1010 is down to 319, but that'll actually go up. If you ever look at these charts, this is from the CDC, after a week or two they go up. But you can see where it's going 8,000, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, so it's going down, which is really good. So that's where we're at right now in late October. So that's a really good thing. The only thing is, we still don't know. We don't know if this is going to come back every year, back and back, or worse, that it's going to mutate into an even deadlier virus. This was actually COVID was actually very mild. We could have lost millions and millions of people just in America alone. But the thing about it is, this should be a wake-up call to every one of us, because there's more pandemics on the way, and they could be getting worse and worse. And so the best way to help yourself so that you prevent from getting the disease, and if you do get the disease, you're going to have far less severity, is through your diet. So what I want to do today is give you some strategies about some things you can do to get healthy and stay healthy, okay? Okay. Now we can get started on a few of these things. First thing we want to do to strengthen your immunity, I have 7 different things here that really help. Number 1, get enough sleep. And if you're not sleeping enough, you got to work on some time management or things like that. Number 2, eat more whole plant foods. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Limit your added sugars or get rid of them. Those added sugars can be a real problem. Number 4, reduce or eliminate that excess fat. That is a critical component, and we're going to talk more about that later. And number 5, engage in moderate exercise. Get that exercise out there. Get that blood circulating. My wife and I, we go on a 3-mile walk every morning. And then in the evening, we'll do a 1 or 2 mile walk. Plus, I'm at the health club, usually 4, 5, 6 days a week. So I'm getting plenty of exercise. But it doesn't matter. You can be around your house, walk up and down the stairs, get some jugs of water, some cans or anything like that. Get some exercise, strength and cardio both. Stay hydrated, critical. Keep drinking that water. Staying hydrated, that doesn't mean keep drinking that beer and tequila, okay? Hydrated with water, okay? And then manage your stress levels. You may have heard of the 3 S's. The 3 S's that will kill your immune system. Lack of sleep, sugar, and stress. Those are the 3 major ones that will really kill the immune system. Now, we're going to go into the top foods for the immune system. And some of these are in red, and then some are in black. On the top there, we've got turmeric, curry, ginger, garlic, and oregano. Those are like the best things to boost the immune system. Berries and elderberries is a really good one. Your citruses are fantastic. Citrus, oranges, lemons, and grapefruits. And then take a look at this. Your beans and legumes and chickpeas and lentils. Those are actually fabulous for the immune system. Surprisingly. Yeah, it's amazing. And then look at all these ones in red. You got a couple up here, curry and elderberry, but down here in red, seaweed, sweet potatoes and potatoes, eggplant, tomatoes, bell peppers, sweet chili peppers, kale, and deep green leafy vegetables. Those are what are called nightshades. And you see all these people going on these nightshade diets? They're staying away from the healthiest foods you should be eating. And there's another one called blood type diets. Blood type diets is another one, saying stay away from nightshades. Now, the only reason you should ever stay away from nightshades is if you have an autoimmune disease. An autoimmune disease is where your body's attacking itself, your immune system is attacking itself. And if you got those kind of issues, which is extremely rare, then you're going to have to look at some particular issues here that you got to change your diet on. And of course, these are not the cause of autoimmune disease. These are the reaction because you have autoimmune disease. The autoimmune disease could be caused by a number of things, and I don't know what they are. Nobody does. It's a mystery right now. There's a bunch of guessing going on out there. It could be the pesticides, it could be the processed foods, it could be this, but there is no science yet that I've seen that really defines why people are getting autoimmune disease. But they'll stay away from these things. And these are the foods that you should be eating to keep your body working properly. So I got a great video here for you. This, I think, is the soup that I just created out there for you. Hey everybody, today we're going to show you how to make my super immune boosting bowls. And I call them super immune boosting because you'll see the ingredients. They've got a lot of great things that help optimize your immune system. And this is a really easy recipe. I have one 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, one 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes, 1.5 cups of chickpeas, 1 cup of celery, and 1.5 cups of diced potatoes, which are cooked. We got 1 tablespoon of curry powder. I've got 1 clove of fresh garlic chopped, 2 teaspoons of fresh ginger, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and about 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of salt. You gotta have 2 cups of water in there too. Yes, I was looking like, wait a minute, this is not right. There you go. Now we're gonna bring this to a boil. Have it ready in just about 15-20 minutes here. Our soup is done. So all I want to do is put a little bit of fresh chopped parsley in it right at the end here. Yeah. Now it's gourmet. And then we'll scoop up some of this in a bowl for you. You can cook it longer if you want. Yeah, so look how easy it was to create a fabulous, healthy meal. And it's got all the healthy ingredients that'll help keep your body working the way it's supposed to be working. So, and that's my purpose, is to really give you these easy strategies that'll help get you healthy and keep you healthy, one bite at a time. Amen. That's our new studio, by the way. Yeah, we just got done recording season 7 and season 8 and season 9. Yeah. So we've got shows airing on 4 different networks now. They're nonprofit networks. We don't have any sponsors. You're actually my sponsors for the cooking programs. You're the ones that help fund all these things to get produced. And we're actually the #1 program on Smart Lifestyle TV now. For some reason, Kraft Foods will not sponsor us. I don't know why. It just, maybe it's because we have vegan shows, something like that. But anyway, there's my little before and after. That's what I used to look like before I started getting healthy. And 70 pounds later, I'm doing pretty good. In fact, let me share with you, I'll give you a quick testimony. Last time I was here, I did a whole half hour about how I got healthy and everything, but I'm not going to get into all the details today. But I will show you my blood tests here, because my before used to be, well, there's 60 pounds difference in between these 2 tests. My cholesterol used to be at 263. Now it's at 118. Triglycerides were at 274. Now they're at 91. HDL went up, LDL went down. H for higher, L for lower. My LDL went from 159 down to 59, dropped 100 points. Yeah, everything on here is fabulous. Let's see here. My B12 was low, okay? My B12 was low. Now, B12 is actually a bacteria that grows on rooted plants. So when you peel your potatoes and your carrots, you're actually peeling away B12. Where do the cows get their B12 from? It's from the grass and the roots and everything. That's where the cows get their B12 from and pass it on to humans. So I do take a little B12 supplement. But I was thinking about this. I was like, you know what? If it's that easy for cows to pass B12 on to humans just from the grass that they're eating, how easy is it for them to pass along those dozens of injections that they get every year? Yeah. And so anyway, back in Las Vegas, I was working at the hospitals as an executive chef opening up new hospitals. And I was in Las Vegas. I had 2 hospitals that I'd be at regularly and work in doctors' lounges. And the doctors were telling me, man, you got to lose some weight. But they said most of the people were in there because of their diet. And it usually came down to the cholesterol and the saturated fats. And so I told the doctors, I said, I'm going to go 40 days, no red meat. And they were like, yeah, go for it. So that's what I did. I went 40 days, no red meat. Now, the first 5 days was kind of rough, but I stuck to it. The next 30 days, I was fine. I had no cravings for red meat. And then all of a sudden, the last 5 days, I started craving red meat again. And I'm like, how is this? I just went 35 days without any red meat. Now I'm going to crave a hamburger? Closer got to my 40 days. 1 day left, and I'm calling my friends on the phone saying, hey, we're hitting the prime rib buffets this weekend, which we did. It's Vegas, okay? We get all-you-can-eat prime rib for $4.95. But I couldn't figure out the problem. How, after 40 days, could I be craving red meat that much? And I figured out the problem. Well, actually, I figured out the solution. And that is that we need to make sure that our minds are in control of our bodies instead of our bodies being in control of our minds. Amen? See, this is what's going on out there. People are giving in to their bodily cravings in more ways than one, but especially when it comes to food. They just give the body whatever the body wants, and then they wonder why we're so unhealthy. And we need to make sure the intelligent part of our body is making those good choices on a daily basis. And the doctors were loving it. Dr. Poibu, he come up to me and he's like, Mark, I won $100 off you this week. It's Vegas. They were all betting on me to see if I could do the 40 days, and it was funny. But he told me, he says, you got to get off the milk and cheese. And he said, that's the worst of anything. That's when I went in and got blood tests. And then I started going all vegan, no animal products whatsoever. But this time, I did not put that block wall out there 40 days later. I said, I'm just going to get on this path and keep taking those steps. And within a couple weeks, I started feeling better. Within a month, I was like, man, I'm losing weight, hitting a new hole in my belt loop. I'm almost ready for a new hole in my belt loop now, so I'm looking forward to that. And let me share with you a scripture that changed my life. It would have to be Philippians 4:13. Y'all know the scripture, Philippians 4:13? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's not the meaning of that scripture. If you go into the Greek, the original Greek does not have the word can in there. See, I can do all things is all about self. You get the word can out of there and it goes like this. I do all things through Christ who strengthens me. See, that's all about conviction. What a total difference that scripture has when you get yourself out of the way. So instead of I can, you do things with conviction. I do. And if you will simply put godly conviction in your diet, God will do amazing things with your health. That's the way it works. Put conviction in your family. Watch what he does with your family. Put godly conviction in your career. Watch what he does with promotion. But that's the way he works. And so, amen. But yeah, that's my before and after right there. And quite a few pounds. I think I had a 48-inch waist back then. And I'm down to a 36. So 38, 36. I've got 36s, but I'm almost in them. We're getting there. Yeah, you got to keep working on things. Now let me share with you these three nutrients that society always says that you need more of. And because, if you look at my calcium was 9.2, actually on the high side. And doctors said, you're eating a lot of salad, aren't you? I was like, yeah, every day. That's where you get your calcium. Eat those greens. And most people are never going to have a problem not getting enough calcium anyway. It doesn't happen. Now, everybody is a little bit different, okay? And so that's why it's good to get blood tests, and you should get more than one. I used to do them every 6 months. Now I'm once a year because I'm so consistent. But you want to see the trends. That's the thing that you want to see. And my protein was perfect, 7.0, because everybody's like, where am I going to get my protein, right? Baked potatoes, 3.9 grams of protein. Peas have 9 grams. Lentils, 16 grams. Brown rice, 4.8 grams of protein. Even a banana has 1.2 grams of protein. Nobody is ever going to be low on protein. It does not happen. Now, this book right here, it's called Nature's Robots. This is the entire history of protein, very scientific book. And the scientists in the universities that determined how much protein the body needs, they took the highest amount of protein anybody would ever possibly need, and they doubled that. That was their recommendation to the World Health Organization and the USDA and the FDA, and then those people doubled that. Yes. In fact, this is the quote from the World Health Organization. The average man needs 55 grams a day, the average woman needs 44, when it should be 11, okay? But just according to their statement, 55 for men, 44 for women, and the national average in America is 120 grams a day. So we're over 3 times the amount of protein we're supposed to be having according to their standards. We're over 10 times the amount of protein we're supposed to be having according to the science. And now they know for a fact, too much protein causes kidney damage and too much protein causes kidney stones. Kidney stones, I hear, are very painful. And kidney damage, you want a business that really will prosper right now? Open up a dialysis center. You open them up and they're packed. You cannot open them up fast enough in this country. And it's largely due to the animal protein. In fact, I got a new study here. I haven't got it on my PowerPoint yet. Where's it at? This is Journal of American Medical Association, right here. 26-year study, and multiple universities. Here's the quote. High animal protein is positively associated with mortality, while high plant protein is inversely associated with mortality, even in people with multiple lifestyle risk factors. In every single case, animal protein kills you quicker, plant protein makes you live longer. So there's a big difference between those two proteins. But see, our society is all, I need more protein, more. There was a doctor on television last year. He was like, now you know you need more protein. I was like, more than what? You haven't seen my blood test. He's getting paid to tell you this. And we hear it over and over and over, so we think it must be true. Well, it must be true. I heard it on Facebook. That's where I get my news. And see, the better the lies are presented, and the more often you hear it, the more absurd the truth is going to sound. Remember this, because we're going to talk about this later on in the program. The better and more often you hear the lie, the more absurd the truth is going to sound. And that's what's happening out there. We just hear it all. And I'll give you a perfect example, though. Go to the grocery store, okay? Everywhere you look in the grocery store, high in protein, fortified with vitamin D, calcium supplemented. That's the 3, right? Protein, calcium, and vitamin D that they always say you need more of. Okay, well, what are the 3 nutrients? Basically, the only 3 nutrients you get out of animal products. Protein, calcium, and vitamin D. The exact same 3. Now, isn't that a coincidence? And even though we have the highest consumption of animal products in the history of the planet, how can we be the lowest on those exact same 3 nutrients? See, it's just not possible. But our brains are indoctrinated by the society that you hear things over and over and over. And we see it in the grocery stores. And that's what we assume, even though it's not true. And in fact, Nutrients that you probably need is going to be your vitamin C, your fiber, and your good carbs. I mean, there's good carbs and there's bad carbs. Eat the potato, not the potato chip. Okay, complex carbs, not simple carbs. You got to eat the good carbs. We'll talk a little bit more about that later too. Now here's a recipe I have for you. It's in my new cookbook called Vegan Meats, Simply Incredible Vegan Meats. And I went the extra mile on this one because I was stuck at home with COVID for 9 months. So I turned lemons into lemonade. Every recipe in here we've done at least a dozen times to just make it absolutely perfect. And we even have QR codes on every single recipe so you can watch videos of exactly how it's made. But this is one of the fun ones because I did a lot of crazy stuff in here just to throw off your guests when they come over. So we're going to show you how to make some. Look at that. Literally in 1 minute, you can make yourself a fabulous salad. That's not the meat recipe I was thinking of. I think I got one coming up later for you. But yeah, I want to share with you about this wakame salad here real quick. It's called wakame. It's a seaweed. And you get it in the Asian food stores. And it is like no other seaweed or food on the planet. It is so wonderful. Right here is... this is from the nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Michael Greger's website. The goal is to get a 2.5-fold response, which is the red line. You want your immune system to have a 2.5-fold for the flu, okay? Now, the dotted line right here is the flu vaccine. It's not even making it to the 2.5-fold that they want it to. It helps, but it's not quite where they want it to. If you take the wakame salad, it jacks it up way above the red line. Now, even if you took just the wakame salad, it's more powerful than the flu vaccine. And the thing about it is, you'd have to take it every day for 30 days straight. See, that's the, and it's really good. I mean, it tastes really good. But what they did them in randomized control studies and pill forms and things like that. But I just want to point out how powerful it is to boost the immune system. It is fabulous. And so if you can get the wakame, you can just chop it up, throw it in soups and salads and everything, and you'll really help your immune system. Now, a couple more things I do for home remedies here. One is oregano oil. Everybody should have oregano oil. Get the good stuff, get the good drops of oregano oil. If you ever feel like you're getting sick, and a lot of times you'll know it's that inipitus state the day before. It's like, I feel like I'm coming down with something. You just take about 5 or 10 drops, and what I'll do is I'll just take a cup and put it in there and put some water in it and drink it. It's a little sharp that way. So a lot of people will just add some olive oil, so it's like a carrier oil, and it's a little smoother on your throat. But either way, I'll do 5 to 10 drops because I'm a big guy. And if I don't feel better within an hour, I'll do it again, and sometimes a third time. But usually within the first or second time, it's an antiviral that will knock out anything that's starting in your system. Any health food store carries it online. doTERRA is one of the brands that's really good. But yeah, any health food, and they'll run about $10 for a jar, and you'll get a lot of use out of it. It's fabulous. I mean, you can just take it, if you're in big crowds for a day and you just feel like you need to take some, take it. Yeah. You did? Yep. But do you do it with the oil? Okay, yeah, and that's another way to do it too, yeah. Because otherwise, sometimes it'll be a little harsh on your throat. Yeah, so, yeah, but oregano oil is a game changer to keep you healthy. Now, another thing you're going to look at is Allison and Alamed. Allison and Alamed. Allison is the tablets here. Allison is the antiviral ingredient in garlic. Now, Allison here, 1 teaspoon is equivalent to 2,240 cloves of garlic. That's how powerful it is. Now, this one does not have a lot of Allison in it compared to the Alamed. This is a liquid. The Alamed is a liquid. Allison here, that's just a garlic tablet. My wife does those regularly as a preventative type of thing. The Alamed, if you're sick, you can get this Alamed. The problem is it costs $300 a bottle, and you have to get it from England. Now, in the flyer here, there's a gentleman named Walt Cross. I don't know if you ever heard of Walt Cross. He's the Mountain Man Remedies. He knows it all. Anything you need. And his website is on here. It's called themustardseed.us, the mustard seed. And he's in Tennessee on the other side, Newport, Tennessee, on the other side of Knoxville. I went and visited with him last week. And this Alamed, they're actually using as treatment for COVID. Yes, because it's that powerful. And especially over in Africa, there are some places in Africa that have a 50% death rate from COVID. 50. You get COVID, you have a 50-50 chance of living. Now here in America, it's only, 0.05% or something if you get COVID. So it's very, very rare, based on the numbers. But still, this one is a wonderful, wonderful product there. I carry that with me as well. It's called Alamed, and Walt Cross has it available. Either one of those. Now, there's another thing you can do too. In the flyer here, I have a thing right down here in Walt Cross's section. It's called rocket fuel. So you can make your own rocket fuel at home. And that's very inexpensive. And if you just drink a portion of that for a day or two, you're going to feel 100% better. It's a really, really fabulous home remedy for virus-related flus and COVIDs and things like that. So that's kind of my things that I do. The oregano oil, if that doesn't work, I've got the Alamed, and it doesn't even taste bad. It's really very mild. And if I don't have that, man, I'm going for the rocket fuel. And it actually tastes like rocket fuel. I don't know what rocket fuel tastes like, but it is so strong. I mean, it is really, really powerful. But it's great. It's a great home remedy for you. So, okay. Yeah, so let food be the medicine, and medicine be thy food. Okay, here's the one I was thinking about. This is actually caviar that I made, vegan caviar. And I've tried it on people, and they were actually afraid to eat it because it's so realistic. Yeah, save yourself some money. That's right. I should actually mass produce that one. It works. It's a really good one. And I got 3 different flavors for you to try, so yeah, you'll like it. Okay, another thing that I really want to stress is for you to start getting your kitchens designed for success, okay? When it comes to eating healthy, you got to have a healthy environment. Look, if everything in your kitchen is unhealthy and you bring home a carrot, how long is it going to be in the fridge? Maybe turns to rubber. Yeah, you get like slime on it or something. Yeah. You'll probably put it in those drawers down below where good intentions go to die, right? Little caskets that you open up, see if there's anything alive in there. Yeah, I know those things, yeah. And you want to wash your food before it goes in the fridge. Why are you going to put dirty produce into a clean refrigerator? If you do that, your brain is going to be saying, oh, I don't want to mess with it. I got to wash it, and I got to cut it, and I got to prep it, and I got to clean it. Oh, wait, I got potato chips. That's what your brain will do. Where at least if it's washed and prepped and ready to eat, then your brain is saying fast food. I can just grab and go. So you want your kitchen to have food available at any given time. Prep for days or weeks or even months ahead of time. Take the stew that I made, put it in containers and freeze it, and just pull out portions at a time. And by the way, that tomato will actually boost the immune system immediately. It can be raw, it can be cooked, it can be canned, it can be fresh, and it'll immediately jack up the immune system. 1 cup will just, it's amazing. And so that's a really good thing to have in the winter times, is the tomato products. But yeah, in my refrigerator, I'll have, celery and carrots and water, and I just kind of switch the water out every couple days. Chickpea salad, all ready to go, tofu egg salad, hummus without the oil. And if you want the secret to making hummus without oil, you got your chickpeas, right? Add a can of white beans, or if you're doing fresh, but do about 30 or 40% white beans, and it gives it that creaminess so people think it's made with oil, and it's not. So yeah, the last time I was here, we talked about the refrigerator station and the oatmeal station, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that today. I do have on my website videos that you can watch and learn exactly how to set up your refrigerator, exactly how to set up your freezer and your oatmeal station and your cupboards and everything. I was talking about my brother the last time I was here. Yeah, my brother, he had a cholesterol level of 1,000. He weighs 400 pounds. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. And he had a heart attack, 400 pounds. He had a heart attack, went in the hospital, put in a stent. Next morning for breakfast, they gave him bacon and eggs. That was right before I came here last time. And I set up his whole kitchen. I threw out everything that was unhealthy, set him up the way he needed to be set up. He's lost over 100 pounds, and he's got his cholesterol down to 170. So he's doing really good. Now, but you got to have your kitchen designed that way. So make sure you look at your environment, because that's critically important to get healthy. Yeah, for sure. Okay, where are we at? Oh, yeah. And one of the things is about reading those labels, because there's so much unhealthy things out there nowadays. You got to read labels. Planters, dry roasted peanuts. These are now made with pork. Yes, they changed the labels a couple of years ago. This is the new label. The old label used to just say peanuts, peanut oil, sea salt. That was it. New labels, peanuts, sea salt, sugar, MSG, gelatin. It's got your pork gelatin in here. Got about 10 more ingredients. But the front still says made with pure sea salt, even though there's 15 ingredients in there. That's what they get away with nowadays.
Sorry, does that say flavor, or is it claim to be flavor?
Planters dry roasted peanuts. Yeah, made with pure sea salt, 15 ingredients. Yeah. Hormel Chili, 98% fat-free. They put these selling tactics on the front to try to get you to buy it. This one's actually 27% cholesterol, 51% sodium, 2 portions in a can, too. So you got to look at portion sizes, because they're really manipulative. We had a bag of chips earlier. 7 chips was a portion. That's like 1 bite. But they could say under 60 calories. That was their selling point. And this is chili, Hormel Chili, but on the front label, it's actually a picture of a salad. Let's put a salad on the front label of chili, make it look healthy. Jif with omega-3. Have you seen omega-3 the last couple years? Everywhere. Oh man, they are slamming people. Everybody's low on omega-3. Nobody is going to be low on omega-3. It doesn't happen. You get omega-3 out of rice. 1 teaspoon of ground flaxseed would have all the Omega-3s you'd need for the entire day. But they know it sells product, so they're putting it on the labels. Jif with omega-3? This one's actually made with anchovies and sardines. So, well, I mean, if you like anchovies with your peanut butter sandwich, it's already in there, so maybe it'll save you a step, but it's all about selling. And the calories in here is 190, calories from fat is 170. So this is 75% calories from fat, 70% calories from fat. These are weight gainers, for one. Plus, they activate the liver to produce more cholesterol, and that is one of the major causes of type 2 diabetes. It's the fats and oils. There's a book on the back of this flyer called Reversing Diabetes, on the front of the flyer, Reversing Diabetes, Dr. Neil Bernard. And he shows how we have these valves in our pancreas, all over our body, in the cells and everything, and there's a blockage. So you need that insulin to open those doors and close and open and close the doors. When if you just get rid of the blockage, which is the fats and oils, then your body's doing the job it's supposed to be doing and you don't need all that insulin. Even type 1 diabetics have far more success managing their type 1 diabetes when they get rid of the fats and oils. And type 2 diabetics, you can reverse type 2 diabetes in a matter of weeks. And the way you do that is by getting rid of those fats and oils. So you get rid of the animal products that are loaded with fat and oil, get rid of all the processed oils, including coconut oil and olive oil. Yes, and within a couple weeks, your type 2 diabetes has been reversed, and you're off your meds. Within a couple weeks, you should be completely off your meds. In another couple weeks, you're completely reversed on your type 2 diabetes. And I understand good fats, okay? I understand, olive oil has some good properties, coconut oil has some good properties, but we're getting massively bombarded by it. That's the problem. In fact, let's see if I have this here. Here it is. From the USDA, federal government's website, national average for vegetable oil alone is 10.2 pounds per person per month. So that's this much vegetable oil that the average person consumes every month. Actually, this is only 9 pounds, so you'd have to add to it. But it's 43,000 calories with no nutritional value whatsoever. And this is your cause of type 2 diabetes. Now, doctors out there will tell you that type 2 diabetes is caused by sugars and carbs. Not true. It is not true. That is the reaction you have because you have the disease. See, a lot of doctors don't understand cause and effect. The cause of the disease, it creates reactions to other things. So now, in order to reverse type 2 diabetes, in fact, actually, type 2 diabetes, how you get those spikes in your blood sugar from carbs? If you reverse your diabetes, when you start eating those healthy carbs, you're actually going to stabilize and it'll keep you from being a diabetic again. But you can't just jump out there and eat these healthy carbs because it, mess up your system. So you got to reverse the diabetes first. And then you can get back to the regular diet that you should be on. But that's the issue. That's the problem right there. It's the fats and oils. We'll talk a little bit more about that later too. So, but you got to read those labels, that's for sure. There's my cookie. Hey everybody, it's time to show you my gluten-free haystack cookie. This is kind of a play on what I used to do with the healthy scoop cookies, but that had wheat in it, and so I wanted to make a gluten-free version for you. So really easy, all you got is a few ingredients here. 1 14-ounce bag of coconut flakes, 2 cups of chopped walnuts or pecans. I've got 2 cups of raisins, 1 cup of dates, 1 cup of craisins, and a cup of dried cherries. Any type will work here. Then I've also got some honey over here, a cup of honey, 1 cup of peanut butter, 1 cup of quick oats, 1 cup of oat flour, 1 cup of water, and then 2 teaspoons of salt. So now what you're going to want to do is we can take all the dry ingredients with our coconut flakes, our pecan pieces, our flour, and our oats, and the salt. We can take all that and put it together. And then with these 4 items right here is what we need to get blended and chopped. So I've got a food processor over here. We've just got cherries and raisins and craisins and dates. Now you can use pretty much any type of dried fruit that you want. The only one that usually has the added sugar is the craisins. So if you want to not do the added sugar, I would keep that one out of there. But all we got to do is just get this pulsing till it's in some pieces. It can even ball up a little bit. It'll be fine. Yeah, there we go. See how it's kind of pieced together like that? So now all we have to do is we're going to put this right in here. Okay, get every little bit there. Woo. And then we add our water, peanut butter, and whoop, what am I doing here? Let me get some gloves on. I know I'm going to need them. Because I'll tell you what, a really good thing to do right here, one of the little secrets, is get this mixing up and help break apart some of that fruit, because it's kind of clumped together, and what the flour and everything will help it break apart. Otherwise, you're going to have one big clump inside one of your cookies, and the other ones aren't going to get anything. So this is a good time to just, that's where that flour really comes in handy to help keep all that separated. And then what we're going to do is add our honey, which look how thick this honey is. This is actually real honey, not the fake stuff that a lot of grocery stores sell. Unfiltered, yeah, right from the source. But honey, peanut butter, and then I can get in there with my hands a little bit. All right, because you really want to make sure that this gets well incorporated in there. All right, now I can take my gloves off. Boom, 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 boom. Clean up my mess, because that's just my habit. And then we will scoop these babies right onto the parchment paper lined sheet pan. Now the thing about this is you want it to be tight on the inside, but it's okay to have these loose edges here, because that's what gives it the effect like a haystack. So just like this. I have the oven preheated at 350 degrees. This is going to go in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. So that's what it takes. The whole trick to it, depending how much moisture you have and how dry your product was, might take a few more minutes. Depends if you have a convection oven versus a regular oven. But what you want is it to be a little crispy on the outside and still be soft and chewy on the inside. So we'll get those in the oven, and then we'll come back and show you what they look like. Well, our cookies are done. Our haystack cookies. This is our gluten-free one too, by the way. Take a look at these, because I wanted to share with you exactly where you want to cook these, bake these at. You can see right here how they're a little well done. Right on the top, there's just a little bit of well done. And these will go from being undercooked to overcooked very fast. So that's why I said you want to be keeping an eye on them. Hey. Oh, okay, I'm missing a couple cookies here. Who's the culprit? happens every time I make them. They just start disappearing, you guys. Anyway, look at the bottoms here. See how the bottoms are perfect. They are just perfect. So I don't mind a little thing on the top there, but you just got to watch them in the oven or you're going to overcook them. And watch when I open them how, the other thing I did, you don't want to touch these when they come right out of the oven because they'll just fall apart. So they definitely have to rest. These have been resting out of the oven for about 20 minutes. Then they're going to tighten up. Otherwise, if you take them right out of the oven, they'll just start breaking apart. So, okay, but now I break it apart and look how soft and chewy it is on the inside and nice and crisp on the outside. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. So there it is, my gluten-free haystack cookie. And it's something healthy for a healthy alternative. The other thing I wanted to share with you is make sure that you store these in an airtight container. They will make them last a lot longer. You just put them in, I'm gonna eat that cookie. That's just the best way to store them, to keep them moist and not dry out too much. So that's where those are gonna go, just like that. You're gonna love these, I guarantee it. Healthy and delicious. We'll see you next time. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's a great recipe. Now, the one thing I did do on this recipe, I use a coconut that is unsweetened. Now, if you use a sweetened coconut, it's got moisture in it. With the unsweetened, you probably want to add about a quarter cup or a half a cup more water to it, so because the unsweetened will suck it up and you'll end up being too dry. So that's what I've done there. Okay, now let's get to those carbs, because look at the diets we were talking about. You know, the nightshade diet, shouldn't do. Blood type diet, shouldn't do because it's robbing you of all these. And then what came out? The no carb diet. Stay away from carbs, right? And you got all these millions of people, I'm staying away from carbs, I don't eat carbs. When carbs is what you should be eating. This is the low carb fraud. It's T. Colin Campbell, he wrote the China study. Real quick read, shows you why you need to eat more carbs. The gluten lie. This one is a really interesting book. Out of every 200 people that are going gluten-free, only one is a celiac or allergic to gluten. The other 199 out of 200 people are actually just sucked into the lie that's been told over and over, and they don't need to go gluten-free at all. So that's really amazing book. The Starch Solution. This is Dr. McDougall. He's probably one of the top 5 doctors in the world when it comes to nutrition. He shows where 70% of your diet needs to be in carbs and starches. 70%? People think that's crazy. No, 70%. Everything's got carbs in it, by the way. I mean, carbs are everywhere. You know, in fact, if people are going to tell you not to eat carbs, quinoa, 21% carbs, oats is 66%, apples, 15% carbs, beets is 10% carbs, oranges, 11%, blueberries, 14% carbs. Are you telling me I'm not supposed to eat all these healthy foods? I could go through almost every food on the planet. You would never be able to eat if you went on a no-carb diet. They don't know what no carbs means. It's a ridiculous point even. This is the low-carb myth. Dr. Ari Whitten and Wade Smith. This is a New York Times bestseller. It's sold out twice on Amazon already. 490 scientific sources showing why you need to eat more carbs. It shows you the countries that eat the most carbs have the least amount of sickness and disease, have the least amount of heart disease, the least amount of cancers, and the list goes on and on and on. That is an amazing book called The Low Carb Myth. And then here's How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. Another one, top 5 doctors in the world, and he shows why you need to eat those carbs. I even got him to sign it. I was actually his opening speaker at the whole conference in California last year. So yeah, but you gotta know the difference between complex carbs and simple carbs, okay? You need the whole grains. I have what is called my fabulous 5 that you should be eating all the time. Potatoes, rice, beans, oats, and your whole grains. That's the fabulous 5 carbs that you should eat all the time. Now, you may have heard this study that came out and said, oh, stay away from white rice and white potatoes, right? Because it spikes your blood sugar. Okay. Well, I always wait, because after the studies, here come the pit bulls to really attack the study and find out what they did right and wrong. And a couple years later, here came the studies. And they found out that out of all these thousands of people they tested, there was just a couple people over here that did not spike their blood sugar on the white rice and white potatoes. It's like, why is that? Well, found out they were vegans. Yes. And they did more studies and found out that the white rice and white potatoes only spikes your blood sugar when it's in connection with animal products. Otherwise, it just turns into fuel for the body. And now white rice and white potatoes is actually back on the good list. So yeah, officially, it is back on the good list. But like I said, there's a big difference between potatoes, complex carbs, and simple carbs. These are the carbs you need to stay away from. In fact, I could eat this whole bag of potato chips during one football game. Right? I mean, I've done it many times. And this right here is actually 2,800 calories. This right here is 2,900 calories. That's a lot of calories. In fact, you would have to eat 15 pounds of potatoes to get the same amount of calories as in these 2 bags of chips. Now, this is what is called calorie density. If you don't know what calorie density is, that's where you have a lot of calories in a very small volume, okay? Oil is the worst of anything over here. That's the best things for calorie density would actually be your vegetables. That's where you get the most volume with the least amount of calories. Right after that, it's your healthy carbs, which would be your potatoes, your beans, your rice, your oats. Those are your healthy carbs, and those actually give you more fuel for the body per calorie than anything else out there, basically. Calories are fuel, but they give you more energy. And then after that, you're going to get into your fruits, and then your meats, and your cheeses, and then your simple carbs, and then your jelly donuts, your Snickers bars, and your oil. That's kind of and if you want to lose weight, you got to get rid of these calorie-dense foods. They don't fill you up, they don't give you fuel, and they just add weight to your body. In fact, I'll give you the secret to every single diet on the planet, okay? Every diet on the planet has some form of food restriction, which creates calorie restriction, which is why you lose weight. No carb diet, look at the paleo diet, or the ketogenic diet. Let me see if I've got those on the next slide here. I don't. The paleo diet, the ketogenic diet.
What makes the potatoes become a simple carb by frying in oil? I can understand the bread.
That's by processing it. Potato chips.
It's not like if I took a potato, sliced it up, and fried it in oil, maybe that's not the healthiest.
No.
It doesn't make it become a simple carb.
Right, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, because you're going to see a little more when it comes to that potato that's going to blow you away. But yeah, this is where it's at. There's good carbs and bad carbs, and it depends how you prepare it. It really does depend on how you prepare it. So definitely, that's a game changer. But let me share with you. In fact, I think I want to address that right now. Because I don't know how many of you have ever heard of this word called retrogradation. This retrogradation, it's the process of making food starch resistant. Okay? And the way you create starch resistant foods is by cooking them and then refrigerating them. So when you take your potatoes, you ever take a baked potato and you have it in the oven and then you refrigerate it? Boom, you see how it tightens up? You just created starch-resistant food. And that takes longer for the body to digest. It's more resistant to digestion. Now, starch-resistant foods are critically important. You can do this with any of your healthy carbs, your beans, your rice, your oats. And in fact, they did studies with chickpeas. They cooked the chickpeas and refrigerated them, cooked them and refrigerated them, cooked them and refrigerated them, did that 3 times, and it was far more starch resistant than if they just cooked it once and reheated it. See, you can actually cook it and still reheat it. Even pasta, if you cook it and then reheat it, it becomes starch resistant. Now, another critical thing about this, number one, it creates a better bacteria and better flora in your intestines. Starch-resistant food helps your intestines function so you're not susceptible to all this sickness and disease. In fact, celiac disease and leaky gut syndrome. They say celiac disease is caused by the wheat and gluten. It's not. That's the reaction that you have because you have the disease. The disease is actually caused by the glyphosate. And the glyphosate is in a lot of pesticides that, we eat them and then it attacks our intestines and our, gut and everything. When if you eat those starch-resistant foods, it keeps the glyphosate from being able to attack your body. That is the way that you prevent from getting celiac disease and leaky gut syndromes and things. So once again, the potato, here we go, you refrigerate it, tightens up, and you're going to have a better product. When you start manufacturing it and you're breaking it down and pulverizing it, you're going to end up with more calories and it digests faster. So, which is where you get your spikes. So that's kind of how that works.
So you said that if I bake my potato after I bake it, put it in the refrigerator, then it keeps cold.
Right.
How long will I keep it in there? Because I'm hungry.
I do it overnight.
Okay.
I do it overnight, so I've got my potatoes the next day. And I eat them cold or hot.
Okay.
Yeah. And even if you refrigerated them and fried them. Now, we do more water sautés, though. We're going to do the water sautés so you don't get the carcinogenic action from the oil. But you can do it with water and still get that crispiness. Air fryers. We got an air fryer. We're loving it. We take those potatoes in the fridge. We just boom, 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 throw them in the air fryer, and we got a nice crispy potato. And without all the fats and without all the oils, and it's starch resistant, so it's a much better way to go. But yeah, the starch resistant foods is definitely a game changer. And yeah, your type 2 diabetics. Oh, here's the other part. I knew I had a second part. I got to remember everything here. I'm a little hypoglycemic and ADHD and a couple other things I can't remember, so but it works good for me because I'm culinary, I'm in the kitchen all the time, multitasking. But the type 2 diabetics, when you eat potatoes, you get a burst in your blood sugar, right? That's why you're doing carb counting. But if you eat the cold potatoes or the reheated potatoes, it takes longer to release its fuel in your body so you don't get those spikes. And you'll have more energy throughout the day because, if you just ate a potato, mashed or baked potato, boy, it just releases it fast. Right, exactly. So it's got a lot of benefit to retrogradation. Yeah, so first we had the nightshades diets. We got the no-carb, low-carb diets. And then the paleo diet came out, right? Stay away from carbs. See, every diet on the planet is going to say some type of food restriction because that's where you get calorie restriction. Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, they do it in portion control. That's how they get their calorie restriction. I'm going to get my calorie restriction by getting away from these oils and fats that are causing the body harm. That's where I'm getting my calorie restriction. But then the ketogenic diet came out. Now, the ketogenic diet tries to trick your body into burning fat for fuel. You can lose weight on that diet, but you can also get kidney failure and heart disease and a lot of other issues that go along with it. And so it's got more harm than good. And really, we're doing the exact opposite in society that we should be doing. So don't let your fried food end up becoming your clogged arteries, is what we have to do. This is what we have to deal with. Now, I got a couple more things I want to share with you before I let you go. So one of them is the fact that oil is actually linked to COVID-19. Yes, this is all pretty new information that there's a lot of people that know about it now, but and I'll go through the details here with you. It's actually linked to COVID-19. We're going to start out with China. This is where it all started, right here in China. Well, China has really high-fat diets, okay? Go right next door over here to Korea. Korea got hammered with the COVID cases. Well, they have really high-fat diets. But then you come right over here to Japan, right across the water, that far away. Japan has 1/3 of the cases of Korea. Well, how can that be? They're right there. You'd think, well, it's all Asian food. Well, it's not, because China does high fat, Korea does high fat, Japan does low fat. They do steaming, they do water sauteing, they do raw foods. They do not do the oil sautés. China, they do the fried everything. Fried rice instead of steamed rice. Everything. It's just the way it is. And that's why, and people say, well, what about the population? Well, Japan's population is 126 million. South Korea is only 51 million. So Japan has 2.5 times the population and 1/3 of the cases. And then we go over to Italy. Same issue. Italy's really high in fat, okay? They got the cheeses, they got the oils, they got the lasagnas. I mean, they're really high fat diets. And they got hammered with COVID. Except for one location. This was a Seventh-day Adventist retirement community right in the heart of the worst hit area over in Italy, and 90 residents and not one single case of COVID-19. And the seniors are getting hammered with this, right? Senior retirement community, not one single case because they do a no-fat, low-fat diet. Well, imagine that. Now, this was back in July. I haven't checked it since then, so I might have to do some updates and see how they're doing. France, here we go to France. Super high-fat diets. They're the inventor of the cream sauce. So they're getting, and they got hammered with the COVID cases. And everywhere you go, it's the same situation. In fact, look here. Right over the borders in Africa here, they had extremely low cases because they do high-carb, no-fat diets. And it's that way everywhere in the world. It's the exact same thing going on. Here's America. Now, remember, the first place to get hit was actually Washington State, up here outside the map. And then New York got hit. And then all of a sudden, Detroit and Chicago got hit. Now, the reason that happened was because when they closed down all the airports, for another couple weeks, the only place you could come into America was Detroit and Chicago. So all the people from other countries, that's where they had to come into the United States. But then all of a sudden, New Orleans gets hit. The entire South started getting hammered there. What kind of diet do they have? It's all high fats and oils. Chicken and biscuits and gravy and fried this and fried everything. I mean, that's all they do is fried oils. And America has the worst fried oil consumption of any country out there, which is probably why we have the most COVID cases of any country out there. It is a perfect match on every way, shape, and form. You know, the higher consumption of oil products jumps right into the higher rates of COVID. Now, that was all studied out months ago. And then here came the actual science coming out with their facts. They're finding more and more about this, but this is from the CDC. Having type 2 diabetes increases your risk of severe illness from COVID-19. And now, type 2 diabetes have the #1 fatality rate of anybody out there. Type 2 diabetes, major cause, fats and oils. Then, Journal of American Medical Association came out with their study. Risk factors for death include long-term illnesses, pulmonary disease, of course, because, breathing, but high cholesterol. They added high cholesterol to it, which is caused because of fats and oils, and type 2 diabetes. So not only the type 2 diabetes is getting linked to it, but the high cholesterol, both from high. And then Cambridge University, they come out with the same numbers. That's why I like consistency, when you get multiple universities that are coming out with consistent information. And they ended up with high blood pressure. They added high blood pressure to it, which one of the major problems with that could be salt, of course, but fats and oils increases high blood pressure. So coronary heart disease, fats and oils. So everywhere you look, the fats and oils is linked in such a mighty way. So if you want to reduce your sickness, and see, we are water-based bodies, okay? We're not supposed to be sitting here chug-a-lugging 10W40 as our lubricant. Okay, we need water for our lubricant. And it's critical because when you have the right amount of oxygen in your blood, it will filter out all these harmful particles on a regular basis. But when you coat your blood with animal fat and oils, then your blood cannot get the right amount of oxygen it needs, and it cannot filter out these harmful particles. And so that's kind of the way the whole body's filtering system works. You need oxygen and water to filter, not oil. Okay, Dr. Michael Greger just came out with this statement: contaminated meat products is the leading cause of most food-borne pathogens. And what happened? This is from the CDC right here. COVID-19 outbreaks have now affected 115 meat packing plants in 19 states. This was back in April of 2020. Man, how is it that COVID immediately attacked meat packing plants? Isn't that interesting? Something to think about. Here's the latest information, and I did all the homework on this. Meat and seafood carries SARS and COVID-19 even when it's frozen at 80 degrees below zero for 21 days. They can take meat that has COVID on it, freeze it for 21 days, thaw it out, and it still has all the live COVID on it. It's like 90%. Only 10% of it died. And this was actually produced, it was an abstract, had 18 sources of multiple government authorities around the world and independent studies. I mean, this was a very big thing that just came out. It's possible. This never said anything about cooking the meat, but you're still unpackaging it, so your hands are touching what was unpackaged. Restaurants are doing it all over, which is one of the reasons why this thing is spreading like crazy. One of the reasons why I don't eat in restaurants anymore, because they're getting frozen food all the time, and frozen meat packing plants are one of the major sources of producing COVID around the country, around the world. This is a big issue. Now, you're not going to hear about this from the media or the government or anything because it's too big of a money industry to shut down. But this is one of the major problems. And so if you want to stay healthy, stay away from these products. Yeah, that's a government abstract, though, so that's a really compelling thing with 18 different sources. Any questions? I try to be as thorough as I can with the time that I have. Uh-huh.
Mine's dealing with the protein.
Okay.
I was getting terribly sick, and I always wondered if I was going to die or not, because when I get a cold, it goes into a terrible sinus infection, then into severe bronchitis. And this happens every winter each year.
Wow.
Well, I decided to check with a pulmonary specialist, and he did some blood work, and he said that I've not been getting enough protein, that I only had just a few antibodies in my blood, and that's due to not enough protein. And, all health lectures I go to, they all say, don't worry if you're not getting enough protein, there's protein in everything. And he wanted me to go to hematologist, and the blood that they get from donations, they extract some part of it and give it to me in an IV so that I would have more antibodies.
So that you got some different issues that I wouldn't be able to understand why things are.
So it's not necessarily true that we're getting enough protein, because I know what happened to me. And I've been taking protein drinks and eating eggs pretty much every day, and it's higher, my level's higher, but he said it's still not high enough.
So every body has different issues. And it might be the fact that you're not getting enough protein, but maybe your body's not absorbing the protein properly because of some other issue. See, once again, you're going into the cause and effect. And so I really wouldn't be able to answer, that's why every body is a little bit different. That's why I get blood tests. But there's 99% of the doctors out there are going to tell you need more protein even though you don't. So, but yeah, there's a lot of particular people with particular issues, and it's like there's no telling. That's why it's good to try things and see what's working and what's not working, and really be in tune with your body. So, yeah.
We got some questions from the viewers on live.
Oh, okay.
So what about brown rice, black rice, pink rice, etc., which are supposed to have more nutrition? Do those still create a starch-resistant food?
Yes. Brown rice has more nutrients, but they're different nutrients. That's the issue. I love the black rice. The forbidden black rice is fabulous. And every one of these, that's why you want to eat variety and not have the same thing over and over. A lot of these people say, what was the iceberg? Iceberg has no nutritional value whatsoever. You've heard that before? Iceberg has lots of nutrients. In fact, there's a phytochemical in iceberg that prevents birth defects. So I agree. Yes, have much variety. But those are also rices that you can refrigerate or freeze and use them later. In our freezer, we have stacks of brown rice and jasmine rice, and so we just pull them out of the micro and warm them up, just heat and serve. So we'll refrigerate them after we freeze them, and sometimes you got to add a little water to them in order to, if it's one of those rices that kind of tightens up too much and it'll get a little hard on the outside, you can just kind of do a little steaming on it real quick, and it'll come right back to life. But yeah, okay.
What about the concept that grains cause inflammation? So no grains because they are GMO?
Grains don't cause inflammation. Now, they will if, let's say, you're getting the wheat. Wheat has a problem because it only has 4 strands compared to the 23 or 32 that it should normally have. It's a hybridized wheat, okay? So it has been known to have more inflammation on people. I agree with the pesticides and the GMOs. We don't know enough about that. I mean, there's a lot of speculation on both sides. I try to go as organic as possible. But I'm more concerned about the pesticides because we've got like a pesticide cocktail going on in our bodies from all the different pesticides, which could be something that you're experiencing and which makes your body need something because in order to compensate here, and you can get a lot of issues like that going on. But Satan's attacking. He's attacking every way he possibly can.
Somebody else wanted if you could review the ingredients for the rocket fuel.
Oh, yes, the rocket fuel. That's a great one. Rocket fuel. It's got 5 to 10 cloves of garlic, the juice of 2 lemons, 1/2 of an onion, 1 thumb of ginger. So it's about a thumb size. You just break off a thumb size piece of ginger. 2 tablespoons of raw honey. I do 1/8 to 1/4, even 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So you just 1/8 if you're not too good at it. If you can handle it, you can do 1/2 teaspoon. And then 1 teaspoon of elderberry syrup. And that's your rocket fuel. And you would take a cup of warm water and blend it in the blender. And then once that's done, you would add it to and it'll end up yielding 1 quart of rocket fuel when it's done. So you blend it in warm water just to get it blended, and then you add it to it, so it totals 1 quart of rocket fuel. And drink that in a day.
Do you take that when you're feeling sick, or is that something that you can take prophylactically?
Both. You can do it both. Yeah. Yeah. I only do it if I'm sick because it's a tough one to swallow. But yeah, it works. I mean, it does work. So,
So I still don't follow the thing about the potato when it becomes a French fry. It sounded almost to me like you're better off letting potatoes sit around after you cook them overnight, you're saying. But nothing sits around more than like French fries sometimes. But are you saying there's something you can add it besides the oil that's making it into a simple carb? What is it about the processing that's making a fry a simple carb?
well, I don't think French fries are as much a simple carb as say, well, I don't have a simple carb list up there. Did I have one? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then potatoes on top and the french
Okay,
fries on bottom.
okay.
So if I'm doing that at home and making my own, is that
See, I think that would be fine. I mean, just like doing it in our air fryer. We do those. We do wedges and things in our air fryer. You know, a lot of the French fries, I don't know if they're mashing it or, you know, mostly it's the oil that's turning that into an unhealthy product. You know, people are just loading it up with oils and fats and calories and things like that. So,
I tried the low carb diet. Well, I figured because of I'm a diabetic,
uh-huh,
so I thought like a lot of people.
right.
So I got off of the don't eat whole wheat bread, but I got off of bread, I got off of potatoes, and I got off of rice. And my body became crazy, and I had to go back on. I did it for like 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Then my body just, I mean, I can't even tell you how I'm feeling, but it was like, almost like a withdrawal.
Yeah, it's possible.
So I had to go back on it. So I'm gonna keep going.
Just pay attention to not just the fats and oils, though, but the calories from fat on products, too. Peanut butter's high in calories from fat. I would rather get my fat and oil from, you know, eat the avocado instead of the avocado oil, eat the coconut instead of the coconut oil, the corn instead of the corn oil. Yes, sir?
I found if I go on low-fat diet that I lose weight and I'm already too skinny, what foods are high in calories
And
that you can maintain a decent weight with.
if you email me, I just got a list from one of the doctors, and I can send that to you on how to gain weight. And usually it's coming down to the fats and oils and sugars that you're needed to gain weight. So, yeah, Yes, sir?
I wanted to ask you a question about kidney. I was poisoned. They didn't know the poison was my wife for years, and it was just tearing up my inside. So I lost most of my kidney, some on dialysis. I was wondering about this. What you're doing, would that kind of help the circulation come back?
I think that the best place you could go would be Dr. Michael Greger's website. He's got a website called nutritionfacts.org. And if you punch that information in there, he'll probably have half a dozen videos and a dozen articles that would really be able to answer that. Dr. Michael Greger, he's on the front page of the flyer here, and his website is called nutritionfacts.org. It's probably the most in-depth website in the world when it comes to nutrition. You put in diabetes, and it'll give you every answer you need on diabetes. So, yeah,
Are any of the foods that you mentioned have weight in it? So which ones are they? And you go with your
that I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to do some homework on that one. Yeah, because zinc is coming around quite a bit, being helpful on different things. So, yeah. But bottom line,
Yeah, you mentioned a while ago that you include that being in a refrigerator and better than you eat it directly. But I have something in the online or something that mentioned do not it become a poison if you reheat the food.
I've never heard that before. Yeah, and it's actually better for you. So, I wouldn't doubt it. You can hear anything on the internet nowadays. But, you know, the bottom line is we just need to keep taking steps. Be consistent. Be persistent. You know, don't stop after one step. You know, sometimes you'll have to see what works and what doesn't work. But try to get more and more in tune with your body, and you'll be amazed. And you know, and when you start getting healthier physically, you're going to start getting healthier mentally, and then you're going to have a better connection with God. It is all connected in such a mighty way, and it all starts with the body. You start getting your body healthy, and everything else starts falling into place. You start getting more clear-minded, and you know, it's amazing. I think of it as tunnel vision. And you know, if Jesus is at the end of your tunnel, you do those things to get closer to Him. Read more, study more, and pray more. That's it. That's what it takes. If health is at the end of your tunnel, you just keep doing things. And yeah, it's a little fuzzy at the end of the tunnel, But as you find things that work and don't work, and eventually get to the end of the tunnel, and then everything in front of you is crystal clear and all that earthly dirt is behind you. So it's just a process. We just need to train Actually, what we need to do, we need to retrain ourselves because we were not trained right the first time. And once you get your bodies retrained into the way you should have been eating all along, then you can look back and, I can't believe I used to eat the way I used to eat. It's just one step at a time and just keep taking those steps. So, amen. Hey, we're going to have a donation time, and your donations do more than just help my food and traveling. Your donations is what helps us produce these programs for television. And we now have 130 programs airing on 4 different networks, 1-hour programs, 130 of them. So we're doing really good on that. But you're our sponsors to help us fund all these programs that we're doing out there. And plus, traveling expenses and all the other expenses that go along with ministry. I think you all know how expensive it is out there to do these types of things. So, wait, we were going to do a drawing though. We got to do a drawing to see who's going to do the dishes. So, let's. Here they are, right here. So I'm going to let you hold this, and we'll draw names, and I'll let you kind of help run these things. This is my little Inspirations pocketbook. So let's see. We'll just grab some names here. And first one is Sherry Barnert. Sherry, Social Security number 113425558. Okay. You can have anyone grab names or something. Demek Wally. Demoke. Oh, okay. There you go. All right. And Kayla Jackson. There's Kayla right there. This is a DVD called The Cutting Edge. Karen Milliken. Okay, Karen's right there. And I got 1, 2, I got 3 more. This is for Amy Cordes. That's how you use a knife. A really good DVD on how to cut in the kitchen. My testimony book right here, June Moore. Okay, and then the last one is for Joshua Wilson Moore. Okay, so that's actually my gluten-free, soy-free, corn-free, sugar-free, calorie-free cookbook. Well, of course, there's no recipes in it. Come on, calorie-free, but you can put recipes in it, and it's got some notes in the front for you. So. All right, here's some donation bags. I'm going to let these 2 guys run around donations, and whatever you can do, you can make checks payable to Mark Anthony, and this is what helps cover all the expenses and keep our ministry going. So it is a ministry for sure. Now, while they're doing the donation time, I do want to share with you on the back of this flyer, we have places you can actually donate on your cell phone. If you know how to do that, you can just point your cell phone at it and donate right on your cell phone. But down below here, there's this Patreon. There's a QR code for it. But this Patreon site is a website that we started this summer. And what we're doing is raising funds for healthy lifestyle centers around the country. And you can donate $5 a month or $10 or $100 a month, that type of thing. And we've already raised over $3,000 for healthy lifestyle centers. And as a reward, you actually get to have recipes. We put out exclusive recipes and videos just on that site that you can't get anywhere else. And we're also, if you get subscribed for that right now, I would go out and do the $5 because we have 2 vacation packages coming up in December where you can actually win a 4-night vacation up in at Mount Rushmore, Black Hills of South Dakota, and we pay for all the expenses. All you have to do is get there, and it's like a $1,200 package, and we've got 2 of them coming up in December. So, yeah, and that's the kind of fun things that we're doing on that. And also, back, I've got a book table there, so I've got my Incredible Meats book that just came out, and then this book is called Simply Incredible Flavor. And this book has 440 pages, teaches you how to flavor all the healthiest foods. It is simply amazing. It's like you can go to barley, and it'll show you what foods and spices are good for barley, what's better for barley, and what's best for barley. So it's a whole different way of thinking. And there's pairings. So if you add 3 or 4 items to the barley, you're going to get a real wow flavor. And then I did that with all the cultures all over the world as well. So if you want to learn how to do Asian or Chinese or Hawaiian or Cajun, it shows you exactly what foods and spices. And I got half a dozen doctors' recommendations on it already. So that's a good one. Now I'm going to share with you one more thing here. And this is going to be one of those situations that some people are not going to like what I have to say, but I just ask you to let me finish, because this is kind of a big issue, and I'm just here to give you the information. So I was glad we got time, because I had an extra 5 minutes here. So the second way, this is from the CDC, the second way of getting sick is by touching something that's contaminated and then touching your face. And so I've got the solution for you. Get yourself one of these spike gloves. It will keep you from touching your face. This is what everybody needs. Order yours today. That's right. No, actually, here's what I'm going to do. First, I want to explain the facts. We're going to talk about masks. I'm going to explain the facts, give those to you, and then I will explain why things are happening, okay? So this is a 2-part thing. First, we're going to go to the facts. This right here is Michigan. Right here is where they started the forced face masks. Right where that arrow is on 6/17. As soon as they did forced face masks, cases went up. Right here is Florida. They did the forced face masks on May 18th. As soon as they did that, cases went up. This is all from the CDC, by the way, just to let you know. Right here, this is from the CDC. Right between these 3 arrows, 26 states, hundreds of counties, and hundreds of businesses did forced face masks. And ever since then, cases have been going straight up. Now, how can that be? I mean, you look around society, you got all these people wearing masks. Why are the cases going up? You'd think they'd be going down, right? Okay. Well, here's the latest information. This is going to blow you away. This is from the CDC. Right here. Reported use of cloth face mask coverings 14 days before illness of COVID. And here's the answers. There's a case patients and then a control group. So they did 2 different ones, and you do 2 different ones and see if they have similar results, okay? So here's the thing. People that wear face masks. Now, the case patients, they come in with COVID and they ask them questions. You know, the other one was a control group. And here's what happened. The people that never wear masks was only 3.9% of the COVID cases. And the people that always wore masks was 70% of the COVID cases. This is from the CDC. Now, if masks were actually working, don't you think those numbers should be reversed? Now, if we went to the control group, which means they're already telling you ahead of time what you need to do, and so they're a little more conscious of what they're doing. And let's take the bottom 2. The ones that often wear masks or always. Often or always ended up being 90% of the people getting COVID is the people wearing masks. And only 3% never wore masks. 3.8% rarely wore masks. This is and they've known this for a month now, and they haven't told anybody. This is disturbing to me, why they have not told anybody, but it's election season, see? This is what it's about. But let me finish here. So anyway, that's the facts. That's what's going on. But now I've got to tell you why, right? I can give you the facts. You can do whatever you want with the information. I will leave this page up there when I leave so you all can take pictures of it, okay? But here is why. See, in this perfect world, that if everybody wore a mask, we'd have this perfect world. The problem is there's 2 very faulty assumptions with this. Number 1, that they're going to have the right mask, and number 2, that they're actually going to wear it properly. Neither one of those is happening. That's the problem. This is not a doctor's office. This is not a hospital where they change their mask 100 times a day and they're with sanitizers all day long. This is a whole different world. So while it sounds good on paper, the actual effect I just showed you is not the case. And mainly because this is what most people's masks look like. Yeah, absolutely. Let me see here if I got I'll share this with you. This right here is an N95 mask, the kind you should be wearing, and you'll see the smoke does not go through it. Well, at first I gotta get the thing smoking. Okay. See, the smoke will go around it, but it does not go through it. I hope you can see that. Smoke goes around it, but does not go through it. Okay. Now this is the mask that Blue Cross Blue Shield sent my 94-year-old mother-in-law. Yeah, that's gonna really work. This is the kind that a lot of people wear. It's kind of like a, what do you call that? Like a bandana, you know? Okay, well that's not doing much good at all. Back, we were at a grocery store, my wife and I, and the teller sneezed into her bandana. Now we had already got through the store, right? She goes and wipes her nose because she just sneezed in the bandana, and it was actually sticking to her fingers, the bandana. I was like, oh no. And she went right to the next person's groceries. You know, this is, I was in the health club. I go to the health club every day. People are taking their mask off and putting it on the counter to go wash their hands or whatever, and then they pick up the mask and go at it again. The guy at the health club pulls the mask, because I didn't have a mask, and so he wanted to give me one, and he pulls it out and hands it to me like this. I'm like, oh, I'm going to wear that after you've been handling it? So anyway, now if you don't have a technical gun like this to determine the water, or determine how much is going through it, just take your mask and put some water in it like this. The N95, the water will not go through it. But we'll go here with my mother-in-law's mask, and, well, it kind of sucked it up there. But it goes, it goes through. That actually held better than it did last time. Now this one right here, actually, were pretty good. The first couple times I used this, no water went through it whatsoever. But now, water goes through it. And so I thought that was kind of strange that this is pretty good, like maybe for a one use. But, so you can always do this at home. Just grab some water and kind of see how it's going through your mask, okay? So that's number one, that masks, they're not using the proper masks. And then the second problem here, well, that's actually a better mask. You know, that's a better mask than that. I'll take this one any day. But this is what people are doing with their masks. They're grabbing it over and over and over and handling it. It's like having a petri dish on your face. And if you grab your mask, let's say you touch something with COVID, everybody goes to the grocery store, you're handling the doors, you're handling all the products, you go to the credit card machine that everybody else just handled, and then you get outside the grocery store and you grab your mask right here and pull it down, you're just getting a burst of COVID right in your lungs. This is why the numbers are showing that masks are not working. If you wore them properly and you had the masks, the right masks, I think it'd work great. That's why I'm begging you, make sure that you're very careful with these masks, because I don't want you all getting sick, and being part of that statistic, okay? Here's the CDC's information. Proper use, right here, proper use of face masks is essential because improper use might increase the risk of transmission. World Health Organization says the exact same thing. Using masks incorrectly may actually increase the risk of transmission rather than reduce it. That's what's happening in our country. You look around, and you'll pay attention now. You watch over the next weeks, you're going to pay attention, and you're going to see how many times these people are doing what they shouldn't be doing with their masks. And that's the issue. That's the biggest issue right there. So just consider that doing that is the exact same as touching your face. And maybe that'll give you the indication. Don't grab it here. Grab it from the sides and take it on and off. That's going to be far safer than grabbing it from the center. Okay, that's the biggest point I'm trying to make here today. Your better option is the shields. This is what I wear. I got my face shield. because I'm never touching my face. I can put this on, and it protects me. It protects me from anybody sneezing, anybody coughing, whatever the case might be. This is like 100% protection, unlike cloth. And my wife, she likes this one. Where she works, she just likes this because she can go up and down with it. I'm not too hip on this because I feel like one of those dogs with a cone, you know. But she likes this one. So everybody's got to wear masks. And so you got to do what you think is best for yourself. And don't worry about what somebody else thinks. Do what you think is best to help you get healthy. You know, it's your responsibility for your health, not somebody else. It's your responsibility for your family's health. You know, it's your responsibility to make sure you have life insurance. If you feel compelled to get life insurance, you get it to take care of your family. You know, these are responsibilities. But I do like the masks like this. I think they're so much safer, and you're not touching your face all the time. So that's what I use. Even babies now have it in the hospitals so the babies can breathe. It is just the safest way to go. And if this is the perfect time, though, since everybody's got the masks, that you can actually start a career as a ventriloquist. Now's the time. Everybody can do it. So you got plenty of opportunity to learn a new trade right now. That's probably the only way I'd be able to be a ventriloquist. So anyway, final recap. Here's the final recap. If you're going to wear masks, wear them properly so you don't end up being one of the CDC statistics of the 90% that's catching COVID. Keep some social distance. Absolutely. I love this because before, man, I'd have all these people coming up and hugging me and stuff, and I'm like, I'm married, just shake hands. But, so I actually like and now I can eat all the garlic I want, and that, I don't have to worry about it. Wash your hands, okay? Definitely wash your hands. It's probably one of the best things you can do. Get some exercise. Eat more of those whole immune-boosting foods. Eat more of the starch-resistant carbs. And then quit eating all those fats. That's the biggest issue. So, I'd just like to thank you. And I just hope I shed a little light and just let you think about some of these things and just be very careful. We are going into some very troublesome times, and it might get worse over the next year or two. I wouldn't doubt it if it does. And so anything you can do. Some people want to wear the mask and the shield. And I'm like, as long as you wear it properly and grab it from your ears, I'm all for it. And it might get to that point where you have to do that if it gets really bad. But just grab it from the sides. So, and share these messages. Share them with people. That's kind of what I like to do is help, get this out there. And there's that information. So thank you all for coming out. And we'll probably be back in another couple of years because I'm not that far away. Amen.